So maybe you're considering moving to Thailand or to Chiang Mai and you're wondering, maybe you're stuck at finding remote work or how to kind of get your foot in the door there. I'm going to talk about that in this video, so let's get into it. So, a lot of questions that I get from people who are considering moving to Thailand, maybe you're in a 9 to 5 now, are really struggling with how to get a remote job, how to work remotely so that you can travel the world, live in Thailand, live in Chiang Mai. And I think there's this common misconception that it's like an overnight thing, that it's very easy, you just need to apply for jobs. And my experience has definitely not been like that. I posted another video maybe a year ago about kind of how I started working as a virtual assistant online and how I left counseling, and it was just a complete 180 from the work that I was doing before. And so I would say if you're interested in working online remotely, it definitely takes time. Coming from someone who had no marketing background experience, I have no degrees in marketing. My degrees and my license for counseling is completely unrelated. And so, it took a lot of time to, I was studying things on YouTube, researching, watching videos, learning different skills. And to be honest, when I started, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know what the possibilities were. So initially, I started learning about website design. I started learning about graphic design, tech. So I started learning about different tech tools online. But website design was like the main one that I found initially, because I think it's so common. And then after kind of dabbling in that a little bit, I was like, this is like not really my thing. And so, yeah, it took a lot of trial and error to figure that out. And when I had left counseling initially, I don't recommend this, but I had no backup plan. I was basically living on my savings initially, which I don't recommend. But I mean, thankfully, it worked out for me. But yeah, I had given myself at least a year to learn skills, to figure out what I wanted to do. And so through that, I was able to, get experience with different things. I found clients through a Facebook group initially. And then from there, it's kind of just been referrals. But yeah, it took a lot of time. And I think it's also hard in the beginning because when you're working remotely, I think companies or small agencies that are looking to hire remote workers, there has to be some level of trust because you're working remotely. I'm in Thailand. The clients that I work with now are in the US and in the UK. And so there has to be some level of trust for them to trust, um, not just that you'll show up and do the work, but also like you're working for an agency, you're working for a brand, and they want to make sure that you can represent the brand in a good way and you're not gonna, not show up or leave them hanging. And so, in the beginning, I think it was more of for one, learning skills and connecting with people. So, networking and building relationships. Because I think if I didn't build the relationship that I have now with my one of my main clients in the US, I think my experience and kind of the way I've grown with her agency, so it's an email marketing agency, I think it definitely, yeah, would have changed things a little bit. But now because we've worked together for so long, I've been with her for almost 3 years now, there's, a strong level of trust. We have a good relationship, a good friendship. And so, she trusts that I'm going to show up and do what I need to do. And I'm going to trust that she's going to give me the tools and resources I need to do my job. And so, um, it's also with trust, also comes with, like we're working in different time zones. And so, thankfully, I'm not having to work completely overnight. I do stuff in the daytime and then I touch base with her at night before I log off or, head to bed for the day just to make sure she has what she needs or if there's questions. And so, I feel really lucky to be in a position like this where I am working remotely overseas. I'm not having to work completely overnight shifts because I do know there are some people here that are working, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. because, they work for an employer in the US and not everyone is flexible in that way. Um, but I would say, yeah, if you're kind of stuck with trying to figure that out, it's gonna take time. I would say learn the skills. It's not gonna become overnight. You're not gonna get clients overnight. And if you do get a client, it's not gonna be, maybe it's not the pay that you want. When I first started out, I wasn't making that much money. I kind of was just doing it more for experience, and I was willing to take whatever in the beginning. But then over time, you can change your rates, you can increase, what your offers are. And so, yeah, it is a lot of just building skills, patience. I have a couple friends back home who wanted to work remotely and kind of travel, but it's been a challenge for them. And I think because there's this misconception that it happens overnight, or I made 5K in my first 2 months. Like, that's not the reality of what happens for most people. And so I think just being mindful of that and having the patience to say, like, okay, this is going to take time. um, I might not get the pay that I wanted in the beginning. I might not be even doing the job that I enjoy doing in the beginning. But over time, you can kind of niche down and figure that out. Once you build trust and connections with people that you're working with, even if you're just getting like doing internships, so to speak, and getting experience that way, I think that's really helpful as well. But yeah, it's definitely a process. And I'm, yeah, almost 3 years in, and I'm still not exactly at the place that I want, but it's from where I started 3 years ago, considering this is a completely new field for me. And I came in with zero experience whatsoever. I'm still growing and I'm still learning, and I've figured out what I enjoy and what I don't. And again, I have good relationships with the people that I work with. So I'm really excited to kind of see where that goes in the future. I think I'm in a really good position where I'm not working full time. I can live comfortably in Thailand. Um, I have clients that I love working with. I'm not having to work completely overnight hours, which is great. And yeah, I'm building skills and doing other things on the side. I started doing one-on-one calls with people who want to move to Thailand. So there's a lot of things that I'm doing, and it's not just my, marketing job. I'm doing other things to kind of fill the gaps where I feel like, maybe I'm more interested in, doing consultations with travel and stuff like that. So yeah, if there's one thing that you want to walk away with in this video, I would just say to be patient. And I will also say, I'll end it by saying, I think Thailand and Chiang Mai in general is a really good place to come and figure that out. Because for one, the cost of living is much more affordable. So your monthly income can be a lot less. And then for two, it's a really good place to focus and do deep work because the pace of life here is so slow. There's so many cafes and co-working places that you can work at to really, take the time to learn these skills. And so, yeah, I say if you're interested in traveling and living, working remotely and living abroad, even if it's not in Thailand, I think Thailand is a really good place to start. I know a lot of people that start here and kind of figure out the digital nomad life and remote work, and then they move on to other places. I really love Chiang Mai, so I just haven't left. It's home for me now. But yeah, I think it's a really good place to experiment with what you want to do online. It gives you the space to do that when you're not having to, worry about how you're going to pay for rent. The cost of living is affordable. So, yeah, that's all I have for this video. I kind of rambled a little bit, but I hope it was helpful. If you're interested in moving to Thailand and maybe you're overwhelmed with all the information online, I mentioned in another video, I offer one-on-one calls. So, if you want to talk about visas, a budget, figuring out accommodation, just day-to-day things that you'll need to live long-term in Thailand or in Chiang Mai, I'm happy to do that. I'll put the link in the description if you want to hop on a call and talk about those things. I'm happy to do that. But other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye.